a lot of hiring managers live in the world of procurement. In other words, Jim, I need or I want. And they'll tell me a story of someone who quit and it's a critical they find someone to start this job tomorrow. Well, that kind of hiring manager is not prone to laying out a career path for somebody or investing in someone and growing them and all that other kind of stuff. So invariably, those immediate positions, the ones that appear to be on fire when you see them online, those are real difficult for people who don't have exactly the skill sets. And I try to get candidates to understand that, or at least have this methodology in their head, that if they feel like they're 80% of what a job description is asking for, what those key requirements are, try to identify where that 20% is or 25% is, where they're missing, and then put a timeline next to that as to how long do you think it would take you to come up to speed in those areas. And if you feel like there's a reasonable amount of time, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, why not apply? Why not have a conversation? While that goes on, when I speak to that hiring manager, I try to walk them away from the procurement mindset and try to get them, well, first understand what their current challenges are. What's the size of their team? Why is this such a critical thing? Is there any time to allow someone to grow in the role? And there are examples when you absolutely have to have 100% of what it is you want. But the times where there's a gap and the person is flexible, then that's when I go to work. That's when I really try to probe on their likes, their dislikes, their must-haves, the things they can live with, the things they can live without. And once you get a good intake meeting like that, and you come away with, as I like to say, where they were and where they are and where they want to get to, then you can properly represent that role. And then it really comes down to finding some kind of cultural fit, finding a person with the right attitude, the right core skill sets. And, I try to remind managers that you're hiring people, you're not buying people. And I know that sounds silly, but believe me, over the years, I would say that the common personality trait when people will call is they want what they want. And that's what I fight against. They want what they want. Well, candidates do the same thing. They want what they want too. And being that person who sees the middle ground and try to bring them together is something I've spent years doing, and it's exhausting at times, but it's really rewarding when it works.
Yeah. I love that, especially because there's two things I really like. One thing that you mentioned that I would love for all of our listeners to hear is, if you're an 80% match for the role, don't think you're not qualified, but think of what skill sets you have or you need to get